Or is that appropriate?
I think when the president is, and this is why it relates to Ukraine, I think when the president is trying to make sure that there is not corruption, that if we're going to be sending the hard-earned tax dollars of the American people to Ukraine to help them fight Russia, to help them get their country moving in the direction they need, to get the security assistance they need, I think he believes that we should make sure there's not corruption there. It's not President Trump's fault that Joe Biden's son was hired by a company that Mr. Volker told us this Thursday when we had him in for the interview, the ambassador, the special envoy to Ukraine. It's not President Trump's fault that Joe Biden's son was hired by Burisma, this company that had a long history of corruption. I think the president, when he's trying to decide how American tax dollars are going to be spent and what countries they're actually going to go to, it's his job to make sure there's not corruption. So when the vice president's son is hired by this company that Mr. Volker told us had a long history of corruption, was linked to the government in Ukraine, I think that's the president doing his job.
So you think it was appropriate for the president to ask Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden? Do you know of any other instances where the president has called on foreign leaders to investigate corruption that did not involve one of his political rivals?
George, we heard from the ambassador for hours this Thursday, and the ambassador told us there was no quid pro quo, there was no linkage between any type of security assistance money and any type of investigation. The ambassador was clear. We have the transcript where there is no quid. Even Democrat chairman said after reading the transcript, even though before they got the transcript, they said there's going to be a quid pro quo in there. After reading it, they said there is not a quid pro quo. And the two individuals on the call, the two people on the call who know it best, President Trump and President Zelensky, said there was no pressure, no pushing, none of that. It was done in a professional manner. That's what Ambassador Volker told us in his
Ambassador Volker told you a lot of things this week. Let's show some of the text right here on July 25th. This is the same day as the president's phone call. Ambassador Volker, good lunch, thanks. Heard from White House, assuming President Z convinces Trump he will investigate, get to the bottom of what happened in 2016. We will nail down a date for a visit to Washington. Good luck, see you tomorrow. And then the Ambassador Bill Taylor on September 1st. Are we now saying that security assistance in the White House meeting are conditioned on investigations? Gordon Sondland said, call me. In that July 25th text right there, it's very direct. The White House meeting is being conditioned on the investigation.
Ambassador Volker told us exactly the opposite. He said there was no quid pro quo, no linkage to any investigation and the security assistance money. But this is Adam Schiff's partisan and unfair process that he's going through, releasing selective text. Why don't he release the whole transcript?
Well,
why don't we know?
I asked Hakeem Jeffries
I appreciate
that exact
you doing
question.
that, but the real question is, why don't you ask Adam Schiff, why won't he do it? The president released the call. Unprecedented. He released a call with a foreign leader. That hasn't been done very often, maybe not before. But why won't Adam Schiff do the same thing with why there were 67 pages of text messages? Why just a few handfuls selected, highlighted by the Democrats? The same Democrat staff who, by the way, met with this whistleblower before he even filed the complaint, and Adam Schiff wouldn't tell us that. The same Adam Schiff who did the false statement at the start of the hearing a week ago. The same Adam Schiff who met with Michael Cohen. His staff met with Michael Cohen for 10 hours before Michael Cohen testified. Why won't this is, and I think Americans see this.
And I asked Congressman Jeffries about Adam Schiff as well. You talk about Ambassador Volker. He seems to undercut your entire premise on this question of Joe Biden with something he said also on Thursday. Let me put that up right here. I have known former Vice President Biden for 24 years, and the suggestion that he would be influenced in his duties as Vice President by money for his son simply has no credibility to me. I know him as a man of integrity and dedication to our country. That seems to undercut the entire premise of what you're talking about.
No, it reinforces it, because Mr. Volker's entire testimony on Thursday said that there was no, he said we conducted ourselves in the highest professional manner, everyone involved. Mr. Volker is the special envoy to Ukraine. He knows more about this subject area than anyone, and he understood that Zelensky was different, and his whole focus was to get Zelensky and President Trump together, and he knew when they got together they would hit it off. There would be a connection, and that in the end, the best interest of the United States and the best interest of Ukraine would be served. And throughout that process, he was very clear. And this is why it's so wrong of what Chairman Schiff is doing by not releasing the full transcript and giving you and the media the full context, and more importantly, the American people the full context, because he said throughout that process there was never any quid pro quo. And when Sondland made his statement, George, the EU ambassador, Ambassador Sondland made his statement, where he said, it's crystal clear, Bill, there is no quid pro quo of any kind. When he made that text message, you guys you never highlight that one. When he made that, you know what Ambassador Volker told us about that text message? He said, we knew that was the truth, and he was speaking for us all, and that had been the case throughout the negotiations.
Ambassador Volker also said quite clearly right there he believes Joe Biden is a man of integrity, did not do anything wrong. You know, what I'm saying is,
if you believe him there, then believe him with what he said throughout the entire 7 hours that he testified. And if Adam Schiff would...
The scared Democrats, that's the subject of tonight's Waters Words. This is a fake crime, a fake cover-up, and now a fake impeachment. Nervous Nancy won't even put it to a vote. And here's why. It's bad politics for Democrats for 2 reasons. If she makes her caucus cast a vote now, it's going to backfire, and she's going to lose the House. And if impeachment's official, she has to let Republicans be a part of the process. Right now, they're shut out. She doesn't want it to be fair. She just wants it to be fast. Her goal, impeach before people lose focus, impeach before the Iowa caucus, impeach before their story gets holes poked in it, and impeach before Bill Barr exposes their corruption in the last election. This week, we found out Biden lied and Adam Schiff lied. Now, we know what they're hiding. Biden knew what his shady son was up to, and Schiff knew he was in cahoots with the whistleblower. What's Trump covered up? He released the transcript of his phone call, and he's been honest about what's been going down.
If you look and you read our Constitution and many other things, I have an obligation to look at corruption. I have an actual obligation and a duty. I don't care about politics. I don't care about Biden's politics. I never thought Biden was going to win, to be honest. I was investigated, and they think it could have been by UK. They think it could have been by Australia. They think it could have been by Italy. So when you get down to it, I was investigated by the Obama administration.
Let's go over this again. America has treaties with Ukraine and China. Treaties about crime and corruption. It allows both governments to help with investigations and share information. Biden isn't above the law because he's running for president, and his family isn't above the law when he's overseas. Now, you're saying that if Hillary decides to run again in 2020, Barr would have to drop the investigation into her fake foreign dossier because she became Trump's political opponent all of a sudden? That's ridiculous. Then everybody who committed crimes could just announce a presidential run to get immunity. The Obama crowd asked at least 4 allies to make up dirt on Trump. He was investigated, set up, and spied on. There was no evidence of corruption. Remember the Mueller report? No collusion. But there's Biden family corruption in plain sight. Video records and bank records. Trump's not planting evidence like the Democrats did to him. He's not using secret wiretaps, foreign spies, and crooked FBI agents. Trump's saying it all out in the open. Let's look into this. Now, it might be shocking that Trump's calling attention to it in this way. We're just not used to it. But this is why he was elected, to drain the swamp, restore justice, punch back twice as hard, and make the system work for people, not just the powerful. Trump's challenging the whole system, where politicians and their family members cut sweetheart deals with foreign nations. It's kind of like a bribe. And then those nations get to turn around and rip away jobs from working Americans. All these ex-senators and congressmen and their family members and wealthy insiders, they're vested in an unfair system that Donald Trump was elected to change. Now he's tearing up old trade deals and treaties, taking on China and the opioid industry, rocking the boat on Afghanistan and locking down the border, making a lot of people that are very powerful very uncomfortable. Trump can't be controlled, and that's the problem. They've thrown everything at him. Spygate, the insurance policy, the witch hunt, and now this. They want to impeach him for a phone call, for fingering their own corruption. He's a threat to their way of life. They're scared, and they're fighting back hard as hell. And the media just expects Trump to lay down and take it. But you're fighting back too. And I hear what you're saying. I hear it on social media, and you come up to me on the streets and say it. The fight's worth it. Both sides have a lot to lose here, except your side has the most to gain. And I'm sure you're all going to make your voices heard from now until next November.